Okay, we back. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. This playthrough. I'm anticipating it's going to take me a minute. What I learned from last night, though, we are going to be able to introduce one new thing. Excuse me, the lemon water is no longer 3 days old, so it's quite refreshing. It took me a good 30 minutes to get another hygiene character rolled up. That's going to be the only thing that's just a pain in the ass, I think. We're about to get started. I just want to make sure I got recording. I will say, though, in the meantime, while I'm trying to get a hygiene character, I rolled up a really good coffee person and a really good driver. So that'll be cool. Incredible immune system, high pain threshold. Two things actually to introduce. We're going to get the secret weapon because it's arguably the best heavy weapon in the game, and I should have been getting that from the beginning. That's going to be one big advantage to doing this on Providence Ridge, actually. The second thing is using our 50 cal more often and doing so in a way that I will show you very soon. But it involves what we've been doing the last couple attempts where we've been using the other enclaves, which is a huge hint. You'll get to see that pretty soon, just what we're going to be doing. Making coffee. What kind of backpack does he have? 7 slots. Kind of a unique backpack. I've never seen that before.
Let's do this the right way for once and find someplace safe. Let's do this the right way for once and
we'd be a lot safer with some walls around us.
He's got 8. I'm pretty sure he's our driver. So Seamus, he's our man. If Seaman can't do it, Seaman can. Do food, yeah.
preferably with some good looting nearby.
I do think that there's got to be a point we reach. I've got it wrote down now to our steps, our stages, and they're what we've been doing, and then it becomes a mystery. But trade with this weapons guy to begin. Get all our resources into the base, and then get a workshop up early. Kill enough hearts from that point to get the landmark outpost, which is where we made it last night. It's officially our new record, I believe. We tied, but to me it was a new record.
Check out the brainless.
To my mind, it was a new record. And the reason is, I felt like we finally had gotten a grip. Not a very good grip, mind you, but a grip. It felt like forward progress, the first real forward progress. When Oz got that base, once we didn't have an infirmary, it just felt like I'd made a huge mistake. I probably should have gone back to the original base, to be honest with you. Now I see it's a mystery. After we get past the landmark outpost, that's where we get into mystery. There's one more step we'll be doing though, in this case. And now who has the making coffee? Here we go. Lacks boundaries. Oh, I don't remember that being a thing. Seamus, switch to Seamus here. Undertaker, food borrower. I think this actually gives him silence policy, which is good. In the long term anyway. Jill. What has Jill got going on? Good arm, leg carrying capacity. So the other thing we're going to start doing when we do go for hearts. Excuse me, sorry. We all know that this takes me like the first 5 hours to finally get a grip. But next time I record, I got to remember to add the death counter. We need the death counter. We need it. It'll be more entertaining that way. So then, have you heard of the high? Listen to that. Have you heard of the high elves? If the moon were made of barbecue spare ribs, would you eat it? What? Having a tough time. Like, I ran to my computer today and I got a new record, 10 p.m. 10 p.m. But apparently also a record for our new audio situation. I'm struggling here like every night to keep my voice going. Like, conceptually, probably the best playthrough, but I think on an audio level, probably the worst audio. Interesting day at work today. I went down and a lot of food. Take that. It'd be cool if it was a material trader. It's interesting that it does change because it was ammo the last few times. This time it's mostly food and meds. My boss is putting tin on the roof of the cabin. And the tin went down into the creek because we had a windstorm Saturday. You guys saw probably, depending on when you listen to this, but there was a huge, I think it was like the record-setting tornado in Western Kentucky. It ran for over 200 miles. Terrible night tornado. Death toll is over 70 people in just in Kentucky alone. A terrible thing, no doubt. Awful. Well, so the point is there was bad wind here too. Now we didn't get tornadoes. Luckily, it's very hilly here. So we are actually a little bit insulated from tornadoes, but also the gas station treat guaranteed to give you diarrhea. So yeah, we're kind of insulated, but it was really high winds and we're working with tin, and the tin flew right out of Jamie and his dad's hands. They thought it was gone, and it was a huge deal. Say, man, we got a budget. There's a budget, and if we go over the budget, it's gonna be tough to keep building like we have to make this make any money. Well, lo and behold, fortune favored Jamie, and the tin washed up in the creek 2 days later. And the creek was super high because we've been getting all kinds of rain and the weather's been all over the place. Oh, material trader. Oh, speaking of that, that reminds me. I did make another decision. And that decision is, if we get an independent state trader, that is fair. We can't call them in, but if one shows up, then at that point it is fair to buy a pyro launcher. Now, another thing going on. We talked yesterday about switching over. So, well, let me finish the first story. So, wash down the creek, $200. Budget's limited. Like, we've only ever had enough money to build the cabin. So, anytime things get fuckered up, it's a really big deal. So, I decided to go down into the mud today on my own volition. Because, hey, you know, Jamie's almost 40. He's not like old at all, but seems like the older you get, I know it at 30, the kind of less tolerance you have in your mind for stupid ideas or stuff that you know is going to be needlessly difficult. But at 30, I can still do some of that stuff. So I just went ahead and went in the creek and only fell on my ass 3 or 4 times. And we've had really hot weather. Not hot, but for December, I'd call it, you know, unseasonably warm at the very least. And the deal was, I pulled that tin up to him and said, "Happy birthday." Now here is what's crazy about that. I did some math. I'm going to be very transparent this moment. I'm working and it's cost the stream a lot, and the recording is all we've had. I get 5% of profit in perpetuity per cabin I build. And this is the start of a new business and the start of a new enterprise, and so it's kind of all hands on deck and don't say a word until it gets there. Well, I did some quick math that I should have done a long time ago. As a streamer, I was making peanuts, but I still was making money. I made about $200 a month. The biggest paycheck I ever got was $600. So I'm coming back to streaming, and I miss you guys dearly. But financially, I think you understand how this kind of situation came about. I just wasn't making enough money to justify full commitment for right now. So let me make sure our difficulty's right. Yep. So normally you make some noise, and there's always a blood plague feral at the beginning. I'm pretty positive they do that to kill you early.
Fuck. I'm beat.
Let's say it makes 50,000 in a year. I have no promissory note, no guarantees. In fact, I've been told that if I don't put my whole heart into it,
I spotted a feral.
I knew he was fucking around.
Headshot now.
See how the game like set us up like, oh yeah, he's not around, you're fine. Don't help out or anything, don't worry, we got it. Everything's under control here. Man, your aim is bad. That's been the one consistent thing in this playthrough is that the NPCs can't hit their shots. Let's say he makes $50,000 a year. Let's say he has, and that's very generous.
For our needs?
And then let's say he has $40,000 in profit, which again is very generous. That's $2,000 a year. And I've already put over a year of work into it. So I've been feeling like a freaking idiot, but there's this thing I believe, whether it's true or not, that money tends to be a corrupter, a very necessary corrupter. But I would be rather shallow and rather vain if that's all that mattered. Now that just sounds super naive and idealistic. I get it, and it is. There's a reason I think I'm still single at this point, but
Hey guys.
maybe it's an artistic notion, you know? Like if I just was purely money, then I wouldn't lose some part of myself, I think. Of course, then it's like, well, if you're just not all about the money, why don't you just stream regardless? Because in that sense, it is about the money, because my situation's not improving any.
Okay, enough of this shit.
And the thing about the it's improving in the sense that I, like to do it, miss the community a ton and enjoy it. It's just that financially, I couldn't wake up at like 40 and think, wow, I've been making, $1,200 a year. I had to build up something else. And this is supposed to be it, but let's say I do all 6 cabins, which is a multi-year endeavor. He wants to have 4 cabins in 4 years, and even that, maybe, because we should get faster with each one, but at the same time, it's ambitious. Because this one alone has been a lot more work than expected, a lot more headaches, a lot more hurdles than anticipated. We knew there would be some, but it's taken a lot, especially with regulations and government and all that shit. And just stuff not working. So that being said, 4 years is awful ambitious. So let's do 4. Let's do 2,000. $16,000 a year, right? 2 and 4. No, not even that. Fuck. 8. God Almighty. And that is again in a very idealistic situation. Now, I will say that I'm not going to deny $8,000, but it is no guarantee that that's even going to happen in multiple directions. No promissory note, no contract. But I've got no choice now but to finish. Try to see it through and hope for the best. And in seeing it through,
Wondering? No, I'm not too happy.
and then getting back to streaming and getting and continuing this work,
Good place to start.
you know, then the original idea continues, which is, hey, we can make some money. I can make some money while I'm streaming that will help me relax to focus on streaming, because I'll know that I have income outside of streaming. That was the goal. I see Lions is back. This guy's such a dick. He was a dick in the last one. How did we get injured? A feral? Now, the brief note I was going to make is I'm not sure that it's worth changing the person at the beginning. Maybe. But I think we only received minor gains at most from that. And so I'm not really worried about it. Really, Dominique had a great run. It was just that shit wasn't cleared yet, and I couldn't tell. It looked like to me like it was fine. Like I could easily go in there and tear it up. But I was wrong, and that being wrong cost us. We were gonna actually have a character make it to the next day. That would have been pretty freaking cool, if you ask me.
Blood. There's gotta be a plague heart around. Probably lots of plague zombs too.
Zombs on bombs, bruh. Zombs on bombs.
Nothing.
You're gonna get in, Blum. You can still hear him shooting down the street.
Nothing.
Gas is not, yeah, nothing. I didn't notice much of a benefit from hygiene though in Dominique's playthrough, and so
What I like to see.
it's making me think. I know I want coffee, and I'm still confident on driver.
Air around
I'm the most confident on coffee. That's the one that I pretty much could virtually guarantee I want every run. And I like the makeup, but I feel like there's room for a change, especially because it's taken me 30 minutes just to set up the damn playthrough. That's not something I'm sure I can continue.
Soon, we're gonna be sitting ducks.
I am gonna try something damn risky. What if instead of going and accepting this mission,
this place.
I just go kill a heart? Is the first heart a tutorial heart no matter what? Or if we don't, or is the heart difficulty tied to this mission and this mission progress? There's sunflowers and sunflowers that look like daisies. And all of that is a long way of saying as I clear my throat and the audio gets muffled and all this shit's messed up, but
That's a lot of crap to haul around.
I'm gonna have to get back to streaming fucking regardless. I think that I'm gonna have to see this first cabin through and go from there. But I'm gonna have to figure out how to stream and make this work. And I haven't yet, but it's gonna have to happen because I'm not gonna be making enough money in the short term nor in the long term to completely justify this. This is always gonna be a
See here.
supplementary income at most, and even then it's not guaranteed, like I said. So oh man, it just gives me a headache thinking about it, so I'm not going to. I just have to think about best case scenario, and best case scenario for me is see the first cabin through, find a way to get back to streaming full time with it, and go from there. Keep writing, keep working, keep figuring shit out, and make it work. You know, stay clean, stay sober.
This place looks safe.
Full heart, clear heart, full heart, clear eyes, whatever it is. It's the only way I'm gonna succeed or find my way through in a tricky situation like this. And the tricky situation is all but financial ruin, to be honest, without being hyperbolic. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not gonna say, you know, all that DSP shit. I'm not. I'm just stating it plainly because this has become soapbox therapy hour, I've noticed. I want to get the car so we can go get the animatic hacks. Then we finally settle in, but then it's the end of the night, and I'm no longer doing this boohoo shit. It's spawned in a very different place this time. I kind of appreciate it. Change of pace. Oh my god, Mike, stay on here. I command you. Thank you. Well, he instantly moves. Poo counter. for those curious in the poo counter, those who do watch these episodes and are following along, poo counter continues. Over a month now since old Gilbert's pooped. But his color's great, and his legs work. He can still run fine. I know what it is. I feel very confident I know what it is. He wants to brewmate, and that's fine. He can brewmate all he wants. If he was ready to brewmate, if that's what his instincts tell him, but he has to poop first because he'll go and all that shit will rot in his stomach. So now I'm just worried I'm making it worse and worse and worse. I'm going to give him a break from Baz, but we're only going to feed him soft food until he poops. So there's your update on the poo counter. You got an update on the stratagem. One of the big things about the stratagem too, though, is pipe bombs. Feel very strongly we need to be using pipe bombs. It's not even night. It's already dark as hell. That looks great on the Magewell, though, the sky. You can actually see back. Here on the Xbox, the gamma is so damn high that you can't really see anything. So yeah, I'm gonna have to stream. I'll tell you exactly what happened there. I took my hands off the controller. To take a drink so that maybe, just maybe, terminal and perpetual frog in my throat would leave me the hell alone for a moment. But alas, Babylon on the beach, it was just not enough. It was just too much to ask. Think about that. We got to get back to streaming, but I can't talk for more than 30 seconds without my fucking throat clamming up. That looks great on the Magewell. Why does it look like State of Decay 1 on the actual gaming monitor? That looks super good on the Magewell right now. The clouds look a little pixelated and weird, but other than that, the tree line and the sunset looks fantastic. Color me impressed. There we go. The best commentary I made of this. I complained about money. I talked about my bearded dragon. We talked about the life circumstance. It's going to become our bearded dragon soon. He can make it through whatever the hell he's going through right now. Make him a part of the team. There is so much setup for these runs, and I feel like I'm being dumb. Well, the game kind of glitched the hell out there. Beautiful camera angles there. This game never had a problem with camera angles before State of Decay 2. Sometimes State of Decay 1, but it was rare. And here lately, it's not consistent enough to really be an issue, but it happens. And it used to never happen. Oh my god. All this damage early on is just gonna come back and haunt us hard. Well, still no repair kit. It's kind of nuts. There's almost always a repair kit in that warehouse. That's what we need, is to find a consistent place in the opening going. Don't mind me. I'm just gonna get my stuff and leave.
Hey, keeping busy?
Oh, hell yeah. Lots of gas, though, so that's cool. And we haven't gotten too infected, so that's cool, too. This warehouse right... Oh, at least they're close. Right here, which is also in plague territory. This seems to always spawn in the same place. Next time I need to go out and just kill a heart, though, and see if that makes a noticeable difference on... Plague Heart difficulty. See if we can't ignore the tutorial mission, kill hearts, and see if they're like locked. That was a big part of State of Decay 1. I feel like I talk about that pretty often, but see, now my throat's finally... Like, I just gotta start talking. Sometimes it lasts all night, though. I don't want to jinx myself. These guys are pretty grouped up. It's gonna be tricky. See, with the stealth update, they made this just a tiny bit easier to actually kill a horde. Before, you couldn't do it at all. Now, she got thrown down into a rock, downhill into a rock hard. That should snap her neck sideways. You're probably gonna have a pretty bright screen in the day, you guys that are watching the recording, because I don't think this thing's all the way destroyed. Just out of gas. Is it always like that? Dude, I'll be honest though, my performance is weird today. The game feels like it's running like jank. Oh, you don't even need a repair kit. Whoops. I actually needed all 3 gas cans so we could have stuffed 2 in the trunk. Some junk in the trunk.
That won't work.
Oh, fuck. I'll be honest, I'm not even really sure how that worked that way. Oh, God. You know what I want them to do?
As long as that plague heart is around, we can't really
If you hit Y and you get into one of those curbs of infinity, go ahead and just give the player the benefit of the doubt, please. I would appreciate that, because being disrupted in the moment on difficulties like lethal is no different than Daybreak. One of the things that consistently pissed me off about Daybreak was it's a mode that requires moment-to-moment timing, or the whole damn thing can go to hell. Go to pot and waste you 45 minutes to an hour, and yet...
Fucking plague zombies must think they own this town.
That was a moment when it did not choose the right animation. I will recant what I will not... Doesn't recant means you take back? I recant. No, I redact. To recant is to retell it. I think that animation needs to be based upon level. How will we still get to appreciate all the different animations? You do that really long head squeeze at the beginning, and then you do that little stand to their side and smack them in the top of the dome, and then you just do the fastest one last, whichever one's quicker, because they're both pretty fast. That one that's the smack, that get it to the side and smack them, and also that one where you just bring down the back end, the handle of your weapon. I'm pretty surprised we didn't find a toolkit. I want to get a toolkit before, and before we take on a heart also, I want to, hey, let's go to this trader real fast. Where they're gone. They might have what we need. What's interesting, too, is I think there has to be some variability, some flexibility in our strategy. And by that I mean, like, right here, we have more material at the beginning than we normally do. Meaning this would be a playthrough. Oh, there's always going to be a repair kit down here. That it makes more sense to maybe build some more.
Let me make you an offer.
So I'm pretty sure, yes, she's materials, and we have the stuff. Oh, we not only have the stuff, but we could get some heavy weapons too here.
That shit's gonna slow me down.
That shit's gonna slow me down. I'm just gonna give her the wooden bat.
can do business.
Might as well.
Well, so in allowing that flexibility, I I will say though that no matter what, my step after we get the landmark outpost is still leaning towards building up. And this is also where I'm thinking we need more flexibility in who we take, and I'm leaning towards tattoos. Getting rid of hygiene, because I'm not sure that... I will say I've gotten less blood plague infection this time than compared to Dominique's run. But instead of hygiene, tattoo artist, because then we'll have medicine, and medicine is going to allow us to make med kits. Well, damn it. Oh, damn it. Let's see, this is where we miss Oz. Fucking screamer zombies. Look at this. Land of the Dead. Letting everybody know what's going on. You know, people shit on Romero for those ideas, and yet they really were ahead of their time. Like, if the zombie genre was going to move forward, it needed to change and evolve. Otherwise, you're just going to keep telling the same story. He'd already kind of told the stories, because effectively Day of the Dead is it. Like, it's literally the end of the world. The last people left are all assholes in a bunker outside of this, you know, one scientist and the pilot. And they can't get along. It's a deeply cynical movie. I was watching, oh, it's like, I forget what their name is, whatever. They're really popular. They're movie reviewers. They just sit around, they talk about the movie and stuff. It's actually really good. And they were reviewing Ghostbusters, and they didn't like it, which is Ghostbusters Afterlife. Wow, we actually have circuitry. We could get a freaking workshop too. We haven't even been able to do that yet. So I think we know of 3 guaranteed areas now for material, which is a start. We're going to have Providence Ridge learned. Holy shit. And this guy had the one thing going for him, which is that his cardio was already really high level. Powerhouse. Powerhouse. Yes. Holy shit. That is a major win right there.
Got a feeling you and me can do business.
Why not?
That CNC mill, for all its temptation. Yeah, I mean, we got the material now. We got lucky on this trader, so that means, you know, we change the strategy up just a little bit. We go with, hey, check it out. We could just go ahead and build our base up. So, finishing the Ghostbusters thing, my niece, 7 years old, she went and watched the movie. She loved it. She loved the baby marshmallow man. She loved the muncher. And you know, there's this thing where, like, as old fans, we get cynical. Like, I do not like the Halo Infinite model of the skins and the free-to-play shit with the multiplayer.
Well, this dump's been emptied.
But I also realized that my nephew, he doesn't give a shit about that stuff. They're so used to it at this point, and he's enjoying it. And the thing about them enjoying it is that's their first experience with it. I think there's this really honest realization that has to come where we can criticize games, but we don't get to play them as much as adults. It's not that we shouldn't. I mean, yeah, they're still our hobby too. But that, you know, it's just never going to be the same as it was. Nothing is. Nothing's ever the same. And if you want that same experience, you have to somehow go back to it, which is why I think archiving is just so important with video games. But their first time is with different games, different experiences. in 10, 20 years from now, they're going to be like my grandma. She's always like Harry Truman and Roosevelt and Goni Jonesy Bobby Hart and Tinkadoodle Haymaker Tuna Salad. She like knows this movie. It's like from 1913. Oh yes, Bobby Dillinger and Doris Day, fine picture actors in the film The Day the Man Looked at Her. And she, you know, wants this callback, like, it was a simpler time. We're no different. And so right now they pander to us because we're still in that, we're still in that demographic where it's like, yeah, they got money. They still work for a living. We should make shit that speaks to them. But very soon, it'll be my nephew's generation. Give it 10, 20 years. They'll be like, hey, we had Fortnite. Fortnite was amazing. Fortnite was magical. We love Fortnite. Why aren't there any games like Fortnite? Excuse me. We loved Marvel's The Avengers. We loved Infinity Wars. Why don't you reboot that? Then they'll reboot all that shit and history will just repeat itself. That's my bold take. Come back and watch my broken audio and my broken ass recordings, and at 36 minutes on episode 14, you look back and you take that hot take to the bank. You say, look, this guy said when his nephew was 30, they'd be like remaking Infinity Wars and Fortnite just to pander to that audience. You know what they'll say? They'll say the same shit we say about this stuff. Oh, it's not as good. It's not like it was. Oh, it doesn't speak to me. And that's just because as we get older, different stuff speaks to us, different kinds of experiences. My niece loved Muncher. My niece loved going to see the new Ghostbusters movie, Afterlife. She thought it was great. She was entertained. But that makes me feel like that's a good thing. Just because it didn't speak to like 30, 40-year-old people who loved Ghostbusters, who gives a shit? Speaking to a new audience. That being said, I haven't seen the movie, and I know that Borderlands 3, if you beat the third DLC, which I think is the best DLC of that game, it literally says that in like when you get the whole movie together, it's like, why don't we make a game that speaks to the old fans while introducing the game to a totally new generation, remaining true to its roots, but exploring new characters and new worlds for a whole new generation. Which they're kind of summing that whole like challenge up. How do you keep the old fans happy with sequels while also understanding it's a business and those fans are getting older and you need to introduce yourself to a completely new generation of people? And of course they're lucky. They get to grow up and the game is already like been refined for 30 years. It's already in the best state you could. It's already in a state you couldn't have even imagined when you were a kid and played some of these games. Like Borderlands. I mean, Borderlands 1 is still probably my favorite Borderlands, even though Borderlands 2 is one of my favorite games ever. I just have so many good memories, which is a much underemphasized point and an impossible point to replicate. I made that lemon water proper this time. It tastes good. And that is, what was your experience? What was your memory? I loved Conker's Bad Fur Day on the N64. When I went back and played it, I don't know how I like it. You know, like the controls are so rough compared to today. But I know it was all about playing that game with my buddies, playing that game with my cousin John Paul, and just like sitting around a giant ass CRTV. AV cables nearly ripped down to nibbins from the constant plugging in and plugging out, and it was more about the memories and the people and the experience with the game than it was the game itself, I realized. And that's when you're just in trouble. Like, there is no, let's go put the genie back in the bottle, put the pickles back in the jar, because the whole experience was based around something totally idiocentric, completely unique to the individual. So Ghostbusters, my niece 20 years from now is probably going to be like, I loved Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is so fun. She's a great kid. And looks like my Auntie the Prepper is probably going to spawn. I've never seen that Jeep be green like that. Oh, we got to get that vehicle. We got to think about how we're going to do that. What we're doing right now is going for the enigmatic axe, which is going to be a part of our starting routine now. There's an emphasis now on getting the start down pat. And that is materials, actually get the base build up a little bit, go get the enigmatic axe, and have a proper start, and do it in a timely manner. Whoops. A little bit of damage, no big deal. Oh, we don't have the material, so we're gonna have coffee early this time. Being able to craft med kits and coffee, though, that's a big one. This is just so far away. That's going to be the only thing that sucks about it. So yeah, I just don't know that we should be that rough on Ghostbusters. Now, the Ghostbusters 2016, God, that's a whole nother can of worms. And there's something about that whole time period, 2016, 2020, that time period, where there was, the culture war was at a peak. It's settled down some. Maybe it's because I pay less attention to all that shit by and large, but it feels like it has, in a way, ebbed back down, reached a new peace for the time being. And you have to go back to 2016. But there was something about that whole movie that seemed pedantic, you know, and forced. It was that whole thing where it's like, hey, let's take a movie franchise and then let's women. And maybe that shit is sexist. I have no idea, but couldn't we just make a franchise just with the women? I think the whole idea there was like, it's her turn now, you know, that shit. And then it became controversial in and of itself, because then, of course, if you criticize it, oh, you're a sexist. You know, in some cases, maybe that was what was going on, I guess, if you really think about it. But I think there was also the thing of like, I just want to go to the movies. I don't want a message. And the people of Twitter and shit will be like, you can't escape the message. That's the problem. Other people have to live the message every day. This part of Providence reminds me a lot of Meager Valley. In that little downtown area. But like I say, that's a whole can of worms. It's not even worth going down as far as I'm concerned. I just think that the only reason I brought it up is I think that that's fundamentally different than Afterlife. It seems like Afterlife tried. It at least tried. If you're gonna do something with the kids in the 80s, you got to do the whole Stranger Things thing. So it's basically, mostly speaking, I realized, to my sister and my brother's generation, 80s kids. So 80s kids have been having their moment now for a little while with nostalgia. And it's going to flip around where it's us 90s kids. And, you know, it already kind of is with Pokemon and stuff. And a lot of these 5th generation consoles somehow coming into vogue. So somewhere around here is our weapon. I'm going to assume it's going to be up there. And I'm also going to assume they probably spawn a whole bunch of shit up around it. I really think our last playthrough was bugged a little bit, because we've burned some gas and we've hit some stuff, but Dominique as the driver was worse. I'm trying to figure out how the hell we get up there. And it's not this way. Super random outpost, but it's gas, and it gives us a chance to
If we put some extra time into this place, it could really pay off.
take our time to find this.
Damn